Today on the PageantCast, we go back to the international system. Mrs. North Carolina International Michelle Aurelius is coming on the program. And we're going to be talking to her about the pageant and some show and tell. Let's all hear it for Michelle today on the PageantCast. TKPN.
Welcome to the PageantCast, your home for beauty pageant news and interviews on the internet.
Hi, I'm Stacy Bruss, Mrs. Captivating 2017, and you are watching the PageantCast, the internet's first podcast about beauty pageants. Here's your host, Tim Kretschmann.
You're watching the PageantCast. I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann. So pleased that you could join us from Muskego, Wisconsin. And we are very happy tonight to be speaking to Michelle Aurelius, Mrs. North Carolina International. Am I saying your name right? Am I getting that right?
Kind of close.
I'm close.
It's
okay.
Aurelius. Kind of rhymes with supercilious. So kind of close, but think of the whole Marcus Aurelius thing. We're one of his people. So.
Okay, got it. I'm probably still gonna mess things up. This is kind of what I do.
No, I'm sure I messed the Skype up, and I'm sure somehow I messed the sound up. So I'm not quite really sure. But for those of you who are tuning in now, I said some very eloquent, important, and earth-shattering things that would change your life. It was very eloquent and well done.
And totally
was
lost.
A phenomenal interviewer. I was in tears.
Yeah. Well, we've been having our technical issues tonight. So let me start by asking you how you got started in pageants, Michelle.
Well, I got started in pageants in my, shall we say, older years. Maybe it's considered senior years for pageantry. But when I was 35, I was diagnosed with heart disease. And at such a relatively young age, it was pretty earth-shattering for me. And so I really had to stop and look around and say, what kind of things am I doing in my life? At the time, I was a physician. I had just was in my last year of training to be a forensic pathologist, and I was single and I didn't have a family. So, of course, I found my husband online that year, or started looking for him that year. Ended up getting married and having a child. But I also started working a lot with American Heart Association. As a patient and a physician, being diagnosed with heart disease I really felt helpless for a long period of time. So being able to work with the American Heart Association, I found, looking around at all those events, as a heart disease survivor and a physician, yes, some people want to talk to me, but there was a huge amount of volume of people who were coming to talk to the gorgeous looking gal in the tiara, who also was sharing the same message. So I realized, hey, I could use a little bit of glamour in my life, and this is also a perfect way for me to talk about heart disease and how it's important to me. So it's been a great relationship since then. I've been working with American Heart Association for over 10 years and found the North Carolina International Pageants that are here in North Carolina. Our pageant's going to be April 7th, 2018 in Winterville, North Carolina. So that's a little closer to the east side, closer to the coast, and a great opportunity for any married women in North Carolina who are excited and want a voice for their platform or something they're passionate about.
So you're a doctor, so that means you're extremely intelligent. You're obviously beautiful. So what is the difference by having a tiara that people want to talk to? I mean, you're beautiful. People are going to want to come up and talk to you. What is the difference?
For me, it's accessibility. So sometimes having the white coat on and having the stethoscope or discussing with a family or testifying in court, I really don't seem very personable, I think. And this way, having a tiara and handing out stickers or autograph cards really opens the door to a large population of people who may not be otherwise comfortable walking up to a stranger and saying, hey, why are you standing here and volunteering at the Heart Walk and the Survivor booth? But I get asked that question constantly if I'm wearing a tiara, and that gives me an opportunity to talk about heart disease and risk factors and what is the face of heart disease. this is the face of heart disease. And there are children who have heart disease. And working with the American Heart Association against our number one killer solves world hunger, it promotes world peace, but it really is important as a physician and as a heart disease survivor.
Now, you said you're a forensic pathologist, so that means you could be on CSI, right? So when I watch,
be if my heels were higher,
okay.
But until that happens, I think I'm just going to have to wait.
Okay, because when I watch CSI Miami, the first couple of seasons, the coroner seemed to talk to the corpses quite a bit. Does that happen, or is that just TV craziness there?
That is a lot of TV craziness, and
Okay.
I don't wear 6-inch heels to scenes. I actually don't have a gun, and I don't put handcuffs on criminals. But I do have a chance to see my patient population and try to tell their stories the best that I can, because the ultimate way in prevention and keeping us safe, whether it's heart disease or keeping criminals off the streets from harming other people, is by performing the type of examination that I do to determine cause and manner of death.
So you started pageants later on. You're kind of a studious type of person because you're a doctor, so you had to study, I'm sure, to get yourself up to speed in pageants. How did you prepare for pageants? Were there websites, magazines, periodicals? What sort of things did you do to get ready? That's perfect.
So, yes, I'm a preparer. I search, and of course, I was on PageantCast.com, because they have all the information that I need when it comes to the different systems. It's very confusing to someone like me who has not grown up in pageantry to know what kind of pageant system I wanted to be a part of. And it's the international system, because it's about family, it's about emphasizing the achievement of married women and coming together as an ultimate family and network to support each other.
Well, I have to say, one of the things we always were looking to do here on this show, because some shows are just about one pageant system or just Miss Pageants or that sort of thing. We wanted to always have a wide swath so that people could find a pageant that they like, because I liken it to the iPhone commercials. There's an app for that. There's a pageant for that. There's pageants for all sorts of different things, depending on what you want to do. Particularly with heart disease, I can't think of a pageant that's a more perfect fit for you. Now, I believe, what was it, last month that you competed at the international pageants? Do I have my timing about right?
Just a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I'm still alive, and I had a fantastic time. It's a great and wonderful opportunity to meet women from all over the United States. And I was so blown away by how accomplished all of these women are and how passionate they are about their platforms. So it was a great opportunity that I would not otherwise have been able to experience unless I was your Mrs. North Carolina International. So it was wonderful.
What's your favorite phase of competition? What do you look forward to?
I really look forward to the friendships, because I realize that there is only one person who's going to walk away with the bigger crown. I already have a crown as your Mrs. North Carolina, so I got to walk away with that. But the biggest part of the competition for me is what I can take away with myself forever. And that's the friendships and the networking, and also getting to know what the other platforms are and realizing we're there to support each other. And I know you wanted me to say something like, oh, fitness or interview. But for me, it's the whole experience, and it's not just the competition itself. Did I weasel out of that one?
Honestly, I'll tell you something. I've done over 1,000 of these interviews now. I'm kind of glad when it isn't one of those.
Okay. Yeah.
I like a little creativity once in a while. If I have to hear one more time about I was a tomboy growing up, I want to take off the baby weight. You know, there's a few things that have come up in the over 350 times realm that I'm kind of like, yeah, it's okay to have something a little bit different. So thank you for a unique answer to that. Not that there's anything wrong with those other answers. Don't start writing me about that. It's just you hear those very often, and they're a theme. Now, the theme that I'm hearing from you is platform, 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 and then a little bit more on platform. So, what's going on? Oh, heart.org. Well, actually, I should take my face down. There, now we can see it. Heart.org. Now, that's where people can check out all about heart disease.
Yes, and they can learn a lot more through the American Heart Association. One of the big things I like to emphasize is that 80% of heart disease and stroke are ultimately preventable. So we need to look at our specific risk factors, and this gives you a great place to start to look at what your numbers are and what your risk factors might be. So taking a look at heart.org can help you with that to assess your potential risk factors so that you can work with your doctor. My husband's over here watching, and he's very handsome, so it's very distracting. But he knows that I'm doing my usual plugs. Here, you want another plug? Are you ready for this?
I'm just happy that you came with your own visual aids. That's good.
Are you ready for another one?
Yeah, let's see it.
This is a total nerd thing. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Here's the other one, myresearchlegacy.org. This is a great place for anyone, you don't have to be a physician or a heart disease survivor, to help with research, because this takes your personal information, it depersonalizes it, so you have your information is protected, and you can give your information to a national and hopefully eventually international network of database so that we can help identify other risk factors and help people stay healthy and prevent heart disease. It takes about 15 minutes. It's online. You can do it from your couch or from work if you have a break. And you have an opportunity to also be involved with specific research projects depending upon some of your answers. So I hope you will consider checking out myresearchlegacy.org as a part of the American Heart Association.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Wow. We didn't get to do enough prep before the show. I should have had the show and tell icon come on at that point. Here, we'll just put it on now. There we go. Show and tell. There we go. Now everybody feels better. There, it's official. Okay, fantastic.
Oh, did you want me to show and tell my real show and tell?
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Well, hold on. Let's hit it again. Here it comes. Woohoo! It's time for show and tell. Let's see, Michelle, what have you got there?
All right, so what I have for you are some of the ornaments that I created for the Mrs. International contestants. So I am not only a nerd doctor, forensic pathologist, and not exactly what the pageant community expects, but I'm also, I guess you could say, a sculptor. So I like to make ornaments, different shapes, different sizes, predominantly the heart, because heart disease survivor, American Heart Association, it spreads the word. And I love working with my hands and pounding out all my frustrations in these little guys.
Now, what is it, stainless steel?
This is aluminum.
Okay.
And I actually did something different with these because I had to I made about 100 because I was afraid I'd have to toss out a couple of them, which I did. But
oh my God. Okay.
These are actually cast in aluminum. This was my first time making the molds I did the sculptures out of clay, and then I made a rubber mold out of that, and then I used the lost wax casting method and made wax from it, and then sent that to the foundry, and they made it into the aluminum, and then I buffed them and made them look nice and shiny.
See, my only fear is that looks pretty substantial, and if you get the Charlie Brown tree, I'm afraid it would just knock the tree right over.
Oh, come on. Aluminum's really light. And they may not be those, what do you call those, stars that you throw? But you never know. You have some competition that you're trying to get rid of at the pageant. these could be weapons too.
That would be good for when you become a superhero, because
Right.
this is starting to sound. Let's break this down. Doctor by day, pageant competitor by night, walks around with metallic hearts that can stop them as well as keep them going. It's starting. All you need is a cape. All we need is the cape yet, and you got a curtain type thing going behind you. So I think
you
you're
like
ready to
that?
go. It's very nice,
Yeah.
very nice, very nice.
Well, as long as I get some sort of slogan, right?
Well,
Follow you heart.
yeah. That would be the obvious one, right?
With her heart. How does that sound?
Right. I think you would have to wear red, though, right?
Of course.
That would be the key thing.
It's a color that works for me, so I think I could handle it.
Perfect. Give me your best pageant wave. I need to see the best pageant wave that you can come up with. And
Okay.
you show it to us right now. Let's see it.
So I grew up in the 80s, and this is the Pac-Man.
Oh, my goodness.
Hair, but this is the Pac-Man.
Oh,
Can you feel it? Are you okay?
that reminds me more of Clyde or Inky, Binky, or Blot. What were they? Inky, Pinky, and Blinky, right? And then Clyde.
I think that's right.
Okay. Good. I'm glad I still have it. All right. So we're going to thank you so much. And why don't we say it together? Let's say Tiara Dreams. Tiara Dreams, everybody.
Tiara Dreams.